All right. Thanks once again, everyone, for joining in for today's session, and thanks to the team from Juno for inviting us over. Right. I'm Srini and I are kind of excited to meet young people who are getting into the world of SaaS or who have some experience and want to level up their game. I believe that among all the industries, SaaS is a very attractive industry in terms of both gross margins and the potential to get a large lifetime value. So I'm excited to take your questions as well. I think there is some disturbance somewhere. Yeah. So for today's session, right, the way we have planned it is that we want it to be like an interactive question and answer session, right? We have material, we have slide content as well, which we will cover. But I do want to spend at least 10-15 minutes on getting your questions answered, right? And even if we don't have all the answers, you can be rest assured that we'll at least circle back with whatever we know, right? So the way that agenda that we have set for ourselves for the day is we'll start with a round of introductions in terms of who we are and what we do at Good Meetings. Just a quick intro. And then we will have an interactive question and answer session, which we have planned. And I will cover that. We will use a tool called Menti for this to get this rolling, right? And we will keep collecting the question answers. Some we will answer upfront and some we will keep for the end. But the question answer, the Q&A thing will be open for the meeting. We then go on to discuss a bit about, B2B SaaS methodologies, right? Outbound, inbound, and PLG, so that all of us are on the same page, because that will determine, the tech stack as well. And the way that I want to talk about delve into the tech stack today is to start thinking like if you are starting up today, right? And if you're building a SaaS company, right? What are all the tools that you would need, right? And how will you increase in maturity in terms of the tools that you deploy for your GTM team, right? And in the end, we will end it up with some real life examples of how companies have architected their tech stack, right? When I say sales tech stack, it largely means GTM tech stack. It includes marketing. It includes some level of customer success as well, right? And we'll end up with some Gyan and some Q&A to wrap things up. That's at least the agenda that I have in mind. Any questions or thoughts, or we can move ahead?
Hi guys, I'm sorry I joined a little late. I am Srinivasan Narayan. I am the co-founder and CEO of Good Meetings. Ajay and I are partners in crime. I think Ajay has given a wonderful introduction of the session today. But yeah, if you guys, we want to make this session as interactive as possible, right? So I think the questions have to come from you, and you guys will stitch the entire structure of the session. We are, going to be the facilitators more than the major participators here. So look forward to the session. I do see that Anand has already asked a few questions. We will address them. But before that, if there are any questions that people here want to spell out, or any questions on the agenda, any questions about me or Ajay, happy to take that before we jump into the business side of things. I hope I was audible to everyone.
Yep. Thanks, Srini. Right. And from an intro perspective, like I head GTM at Good Meetings, and my experience has largely been in the area of sales, right? And also consulting for sales organizations, particularly around SaaS and tech. So I'm happy to get the ball rolling. Let's move to the next section, right? And before that, Srini, you want to talk a little bit about Good Meetings, right?
Yes.
And what we do.
Yeah. So guys, a little bit about myself. I'm Srinivasan Narayan. I'm, as I said, the co-founder and CEO of Good Meetings. I'm an NIT Surathkal and a ISB alumnus. I am a serial entrepreneur. My previous company, which is called Cohort Plus, was acquired by this edtech unicorn called Upgrad. Worked there in a leadership role. I was heading the entire mobile division before starting up again with Good Meetings. Basically, I've worked for companies like Intuit, which is a massive software firm in the US earlier. As far as Good Meetings is concerned, we are basically, kind of building the go-to platform for remote sales. And by remote sales, I mean sales over video, right? Uh, what we observed was, ever since the onset of COVID, more and more, sales calls were actually moving towards video. So calls that were actually, happening either over phone, or calls or meetings that were happening offline were moving towards video. And there was no dedicated platform that was helping sales guys sell 10x better over video, right? What do I mean by selling 10x over video? It means two, three things. One is helping the sales guys during the video call itself, right? By giving dynamic nudges, prompts, cues, essentially any help on the fly that can help the sales guy communicate better during the call, change the pitch dynamically according to, what the client at the other end wants. And that's one part of it, right? The second part of it is automating all your workflows so that you don't really have to go update anything in the database. You don't have to write call notes, nothing. We take care of everything. Our tool records the call, our tool transcribes the call, our tool extracts all the useful insights, makes the notes for you, and pushes it back to your, customer relationship management software, or CRM as they call it. That's one part of the solution, which is helping the sales guy during the call. The second part of the solution basically is, helping you analyze the call better, right? From helping you retrieve the necessary calls by a recording management solution that we have, helping you go to the right portion of the call where essential pieces were discussed, helping you analyze that better, and therefore helping you get a better grip of your entire sales process. We started, this company. The idea came to us around July 2020, right? When, COVID was, the first wave was at its peak. We basically built the product. It took around 6 to 7 months. Got our first customers around January, February of 2021. We closed our first big round of funding around June, July 2021. So we had Chirate Ventures, which is a marquee VC firm, which has funded companies like Myntra and First Cry, fund us. We had a few micro VCs like First Check, 42.VC, 100x Entrepreneurs, ISB Angel Network funding us, and some of the top entrepreneurs of India, like Vijay Shekhar Sharma, the founder of Paytm, Sujit Kumar, the founder of Udan, Kalyan Krishnamurthy, the current CEO of Flipkart, Krishna Kumar, the founder of Simply Learn, the founders of Upgrad, Piyush Shah, the co-founder of InMobi. All of them have actually participated. And what started out as an India-based offering has now actually gone global. So now we have global clients. We are built out of India, but we target the entire world. So that's a bit about Good Meetings. I would like to move to the next section where we talk about all the toolkits and tool sets. But over to you, Ajay.
Yeah. Thanks, Srini, for the intro. And what we'll next cover is an interactive Q&A session, right? So we can do this in a way that, let me present to you, right, my screen. I'm sharing a link on the chat window, right? And just give me 1 second to set this up. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. So I've pinged a link on the chat window, right? Which you can look in, we can log into there, right? I just want to first get a sense of the kind of levels of experience you guys have, so that we will also tune the session accordingly, right? So just help us identify, which bucket you belong in. Like I can see there is the new to SaaS folks are the ones who are leading the way. You can also launch this from your mobile as well, right? You can even, you can use the code, you can open your browser and you can use the code 7, go to www.menti.com also. That's another way. I can share some of these things. Okay. I would request that folks, please do log in, right? You can even log into www.menti.com. I'm just pinging the link on the chat window. You can even do this from your mobile browser. No app installations required.
I see that there are 28 participants, but we've only received 10 responses. I hope everybody is able to click the link and participate. If you guys are having any issues, you can spell it out in this platform on this forum right now.
Right. And we would really like this session to be interactive. So we have one more, a Menti survey for the questions that you guys have, right? So it will be helpful if all of you get in, right? Come on, guys. You can, if you have any issues logging in, just raise your hands up or speak up, right? So as
one thing for me, second question is not coming.
that's fine, right? As long as you are having this first one on, that's fine. As salespeople or aspiring people in sales, we need to make sure that we get our voices heard, right? So do come in, join in, log into this. There is no login also. Just click the link and you're in, right? And just give us this inputs here. Cool. So I will take it that roughly half of you have answered, and it looks like the crowd is relatively new to SaaS, right? So the way we're gonna then proceed is first we open it up for Q&A, right? So here what you have is you will be getting on your Menti, a placeholder where you can type any question that you want, right? And as you type these questions, right, these will get added into this screen, right? So we will keep this on for the duration of this call. Like I can see that someone has mentioned most efficient way to use them, right? Use these tools. So that's something that we can touch up. So first, I want to spend 5 minutes to just get your questions in on this board, right? And then we will try our best to address at least most of them during this meeting, right? Because that's more important than covering any agenda that we may have set for ourselves, right? So please do chime in and, hit these questions, make yourself heard. Okay. So we have questions on what are SaaS tools. We will cover them, right? And we will also talk about the effective way of using them based on the stage of the firm that you are in. What is this tool? This tool is called Menti. It's an interesting tool to run surveys during workshops and so on. Okay. Are SaaS tools same as CRM? So CRM or customer relationship management is a key part of your sales tech stack, right? But it is not the entirety, but it is a foundational platform that that companies do need, right? And I will cover about CRM in the coming slides. Okay, usage changes basis stage. Yes, that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. When you are starting up, you don't have the needs for having very complex tool tech stacks, and you don't have enough people to run them, and it'll be too costly. So you need to keep a lean tech stack to begin with. And as you scale up and your business grows, you need more tools to keep your business in control, right? Okay, can I operate easily? How does it help me to automate the sales? Sure. So let me take that up, right? So firstly, any more questions here? I do see that we are getting some good numbers in. Does it affect the sales conversions? Great. Okay. Let me take a 1 minute pause for people to come in and give your questions here. Right. You can key in as many questions as you want. There is no limit that is one question per person or something. So please do keep the questions coming in. Right. And then we'll wait for a minute and then we'll take things forward. Okay. Meanwhile, if at any point in time you have any questions that you would rather type on the Zoom chat or ask us by unmuting yourselves, please feel free to do that. This session is meant to be an interactive one. Okay, can you name some of these tools? Okay, great. So I think let's take it this way. Okay, this is a nice one. How to align these tools or use them effectively in a day-to-day life. Organizations using SaaS tools. We have some examples as well. Right, we will cover that. Who uses SaaS tools? Okay. Okay. We'll cover that. So basically, let me get started in answering some of these. So this will be open for the duration of the session. You can keep typing in your answers here, right? And your questions here, and we will pick some of them every now and then, right? Now, firstly, what is SaaS? How is it beneficial? Is a foundational question that we have, right? So we will take that up in the next section where we cover a bit about what is SaaS, right? How is it different? And what are the key outbound, inbound, and PLG motions that you have talked about, the sales motions. We will cover those marketing models as well. A quick primer so that everyone is on the same page, right? That should cover this question, right? And to answer the question of who uses these SaaS tools, it is primarily, see, SaaS, we are, for the purpose of this particular session, is to talk about the tools of the trade used in GTM, right? Used in go-to-market, used by sales, marketing, and customer success teams to sell their products, to help reach out to their customers and sell and convert these products. So for the purposes of this session, the SaaS tools that we're talking about are the ones used by sales, marketing, your sales reps, your BDRs, SDRs, and account executives, and also customer success folks, CSMs, customer success managers. So these are the people who are going to be using the tools that we are going to be talking about today, right? We will also cover what are the kind of tools that you have in an organization. So someone is asking what is SaaS, right? So SaaS stands for software as a service, right? This is probably a good segue to get into the next section, right? Keeping time in consideration. So the next section, we are going to talk about what is SaaS and the kind of models that you have, GTM models that you have, go-to-market models. So that will answer some of these questions, right? So meanwhile, this screen is going to be up. It's going to be running throughout this session. So at any point in time, if you have any questions, please key them into those, into the Menti, right? Super. Let me just get started again right, in presenting. Okay. So my screen should be visible now, right? Hello. Yeah. So in this section, we are going to talk about what is this B2B SaaS, right? And what do we do in go-to-market? How can we reach out to our customers in effective ways, right? So I will kickstart things, and then I will hand over to Srini for covering part of this section, right? So let me start with what is software as a service, right? So traditionally, software has been sold. If you look at 70s and 80s and 90s and even 2000s, software typically was sold to, we are talking about B2B software, which is business to business, where your customer is and ultimately a business and not a consumer, right? We are not talking about Facebook's. We are talking more about, say, a Salesforce or a HubSpot or companies like that, which sell to companies and not necessarily their users are people who are working in a company, right? And they get their licenses because they are a part of that company, right? So now within B2B, typically the software sales used to happen in a way where you have to pay upfront, a lot of dollars, hundreds and thousands or millions of dollars, typically millions, to deploy systems. So these systems were paid for upfront. They involved a lot of customizations, things that you do specifically for customers, right? And their implementation of the tools for that particular customers and all used to take months and if not years, right? So for example, SAP is what is called an ERP, which is an enterprise resource planning tool. So which means that all your organization's department, from finance to manufacturing to your supply chain and to your sales and customer service and finance, everyone, all the transactions of the company are kind of held in that ERP. Now, when you're selling ERP to solutions, your clients are taking the risk of paying upfront, right? Whereas you are not taking any risk as a firm. What happened in the mid 2000s, particularly driven by this firm called Salesforce, which is a CRM, customer relationship management platform, was that we started selling software in licenses, in monthly licenses, right? Which means that firms don't need to invest upfront millions of dollars, but they just need to pay in monthly for the kind of pay as you go model, which means that if you have like 100 people using it, you will pay for 100 licenses of that product, right? And you will pay a smaller amount compared to what you would have. And this keeps, this is like a recurring revenue. So which means that when you start, say, for example, you have a Zoom paid version, right? You are going to be paying that $20 or something or 1,800 rupees or something every month, right? To them, if you're having a pro version. You have the flexibility to walk away from any point in time, right? So that is the primary, what we call as SaaS software, which is sold as a service, which is sold as licenses to you, which you can pay for in a monthly or quarterly or even annual fashion, right? Now, what is the typical, when we want to understand tools, right? We need to first understand the typical methodology of what is this, how are we selling into customers? See, let's take the perspective of a customer. First thing that you want is that the customer should first know that they have a problem, right? Why do companies purchase tools? They purchase tools to solve some problem that they are facing and which software can solve for, right? Either through automation or through intelligence or whatever, right? So the first thing is that they need to have an awareness of the problem, right? How do you generate this awareness? This awareness is generated either by them you are kind of reaching out to them through ads maybe, right? Or you are maybe sending mailers to them or newsletters to them, right? Or they come into your website or blogs and they read up something and they find something interesting. They didn't even think about it and now they know that they have a problem, right? This is the first stage. At this stage, we have a prospect, right? Who is now aware that they have a problem, right?
Just 1 second, Ajay. I just wanted to take a, you know, take a check here. Did you guys understand what is SaaS?
Yes, Srinivasan, thank you so much. There is sales software as a service, I
Yes.
believe, and then we are trying to understand the sales funnel starting from awareness until expand, and the
No,
sales method is being covered
no,
by that.
no, I know that. I'm just saying that was a question that you had asked, Anand, on what is SaaS. We move to the next slide around the sales method. So I really wanted to be sure that, what is SaaS is something that all of you understand, because the slide that Ajay is speaking about is something which is a continuation of that. So if you don't understand what SaaS means, you will, obviously not understand things downstream. So that was my intention. I hope everybody in the room understands what SaaS is, right? If there are questions, we can take it. Otherwise, we'll proceed further.
Great. So
Great.
now that we have, now let's talk about awareness. How do you build this awareness? I talked about ads. I talked about blogs, right? You can also go and reach out to customers and tell them, hey, you know what? Companies like you have this problem. That is, will you be interested to know more, right? So the aim of the game is that we are wanting the prospect to get converted to a customer and who keeps paying us month on month, right? That is the ultimate game. So the first thing is that they need to be aware. Then we move to the next stage, that they are kind of studying the solutions out there which will solve for their problem, right? So I'll give you an example. Suppose you are selling to the US and you need to meet customers. So if you need to meet customers, you need to have a video conferencing platform. So earlier, people used to sell mostly by going in person and selling, right? Now, because of COVID, suddenly companies had to reimagine how they reach out to their customer, right? Which means that they are aware of the problem because they do know that something is happening, but now they are wanting to do something about it. So they are studying the options that they have. So they will look at how can they meet customers if they are not able to meet them face to face, right? Then they will look at video conferencing solutions, right? There they will look at the various options which are there. Like there is Zoom, there is Google Meet, even GoodMeetings as a video conferencing platform. So there are multiple options that you have here. So this is where the customer is kind of evaluating the various solutions out there, right? And here is where typically, a customer, the way the GTM organization, the go-to-market organization, typically this part is handled by marketing, right? Marketing who generate these leads, people coming into the websites, right? It can also be that you are reaching out to customers and educating them, right? And these are typically done by SDRs or BDRs, sales development reps or business development reps. You are telling them that they have a problem and you are qualifying that customer, right? To see if there is, to make sure that your tool is also in their consideration set, right? The next thing is that the customer moves to, out of all the tools that they're evaluating, they will select one. That is the selection, right? And here we want to obviously position our product and win that particular deal. And this is the job of sales, right? So we have marketing, we have sales development, and then SDRs, and then you have AEs, account executives, sales managers, sales leaders, VP of sales. All these people kind of operate in this bucket, right? Now, this has traditionally been the typical sales funnel of SaaS, of any sales, any B2B sales, right? The way that typically this happens when you start tracking them is that this prospect, firstly, if they express any interest in your product, right? Either it could be that they are coming to your website and clicking on book a demo or downloading some ebook. It could be that they are responding to your outreach to them. Then they become a marketing qualified lead, right? So, which means that there is a handoff. It passes on to the sales development team to nurture that lead, right? And at this point in time, when the sales SDRs maybe reach out to them, they try to get a meeting booked with the customer, right? And then they qualify the customer to see if this customer is really a fit, right? And then once they do that, that becomes a sales qualified lead, right? The SDRs have handed it over to sales. The sales have given their first meeting or demo or something to the customer. And then the sales takes a call and it becomes a sales accepted lead, wherein sales says that, yes, we believe there is a potential here. There's an opportunity here that we want to pursue. Then we are kind of reaching the stage where we are getting a commitment from the customer that they will start using this product and they will pay for us, right? Now, till now, I hope things are clear, right? Now, the interesting thing about SaaS is that the journey just is not over then, because after you win this deal, firstly, you have to onboard the customer, right? For example, if you are buying Zoom for your team, right? You need to ensure that people are installing Zoom, right? And they have it integrated with your calendar, right? So those things are called onboarding, right? That is where the customer will be set up and be ready to get that value, right? And that they experience that first value, right? And then they will pay for you, right? For example, in case of, again, I'm using Zoom as an example, the value is that you are able to have a meeting with someone, right? So with that, what happens is that once they experience value, they will also pay you. When they pay you, these are called MRR, which is called monthly recurring revenue, right? As I mentioned, for example, in Zoom, you pay $20 per month. Only if Zoom keeps delivering that value month on month, will you keep renewing your subscription, right? So you need to understand that in SaaS, you need to deliver the impact again and again and again, and recurring impact will lead to recurring revenue, right? Now, typically these contracts that you do are maybe quarterly, monthly, or annual even. Then you have sometimes teams called account management, particularly when they are dealing with large customers. These guys focus on one or two customers and they go deep into that organization and see who else in that client organization needs this product. And they try to sell more of their licenses, right? It could be different problems, different use cases, different people, or it could be more people from the same team that they're already serving, right? So this leads to an expansion in the revenue. So you started with, say, you have got a commitment for $15,000 per year of spend here, right? Which roughly works out to something like $1,800 per month, right? So the first time they deliver value, you get $1,800. You keep getting this. At the end of the year, you have $15,000. Now, that $15,000, imagine that you had sold to 30 people, 30 licenses. Now there is potential that 50 people in that company client can use this. Then you are actually expanding the revenue from that customer, right? So that is where the beauty lies, in that you have invested something, you are expecting 15K, you are getting that, but you are getting more also, right? You're getting this 15K year on year. They will renew this contract if they find value, plus more people will start using it. Therefore, that 15K can become 25K in year 2 and 40K in year 3, right? So with all this, you get that customer, for example, can use your product for 3-4 years before they churn out, before they stop using. So that entire revenue that you have generated out of that, right? The entire margins that you generated out of that, that is your lifetime value of the customer, LTV, right? I know I've thrown in some terms here, right? But these are just to give you some basics, right? We can just focus on MQL, SQL. These are just, you are just moving the customer down the funnel. And then here you're trying to get them to use it more and more people to use it so that you can expand the revenue, right? I know I spent some time, much more than what I had intended to, but because there were 3 questions around what is SaaS, I thought that we should spend the time here, right? Now, what we will cover next is that we will talk about different marketing models, outbound, inbound, and PLG quickly before talking about tools, right? Now, Srini will cover the models in detail in the next slide. But just to give a quick intro, see, what is go-to-market is how are we reaching our customers, right? That is determined. There are various ways of doing it. There is outbound, there is inbound, there is product-led growth, PLG, right? These are all fanciful terms, but primarily what you need to internalize is that based on the deal size, which means the dollars that you're going to get, the annual contract value or ACV, right, that you're going to get out of the product, that will determine what kind of marketing channels or marketing models you can apply, right? For example, there are software like Slack, right, where you can just install Slack or WhatsApp. You are not talking to any salesperson, right? You are just, you are using your own credit card, you are paying it on your own. That comes under PLG, right? Where the deal size is less. They will probably make just around $100 from you as an individual user, right? On the other end, if you are talking about SAP, the likes of ERP, that is a complex multi-million-dollar implementation. There, people will not make those decisions by just coming to a website and paying a credit card, right? They will want, they are making a very big decision, which can affect their careers. So here you have actually salespeople who are field sales, who are targeting particular accounts, right? So you are moving as the cost increases of your product, you are spending more on sales, right, and GTM to convert these customers, right? Which is why some of these customers in large enterprise sales, they just have one account they deal with. Like Microsoft could be an account, and I go and sell to different departments of Microsoft because it's such a large company. Similarly, it could be instead of one company, you could sell to few companies, say in a territory. Like I will take care of Karnataka as a region, maybe, right? And sell to some firms here, right? Then there are things in the middle where we call things like inside sales, where you have people who are converting deals over the phone or over Zoom meetings, for instance, right? Where they give a demo and they convert, right? Like, for example, if you have bought software like HubSpot or Outplay, these are all things which fit in this kind of bucket. And then in the very extreme, you have PLG-led motion, where the user basically makes a decision that he's seeing some value and he puts in that money on his own. And that is called PLG, right? Product-led growth. So again, just to internalize that, based on the deal size, you will have a very low touch thing where you are not talking to the customer at all, or a very high touch thing here at this end, a motion where you are actually literally having a guy who lives in the client office always, right? I hope that gives you a perspective of the different models that we're going to cover, right? I will hand it over to Srini. At any point in time, if you have any questions, please do keep them coming in, both in the Menti as well as Zoom or anywhere, chat or anywhere. Over to you, Srini. Srini, are you there?
Hey, hi. I'm sorry, I was on mute. I do see that maybe there are some questions because I did see Anand speaking, but he was on mute. I don't know if it was relevant to this session or not. But before I move into, more details of go-to-market and these different models, are there any questions you guys have in the portion that Ajay just covered? Okay. I presume there are no questions. So great job. Either Ajay has done a stellar job, or you guys have actually slept off. I would presume it's the former, because I know that Ajay generally does a stupendous effort of explaining things. So moving on, I think taking over from where Ajay left, there are chiefly three models, right, of reaching out to your customer or getting access to your customers. See, what does GTM mean? GTM stands for go-to-market. And what go-to-market essentially means is, how will I get access to my potential customers, to my potential clients, right? Now, there are chiefly three models here. One is outbound marketing, right? Which basically means that I have a product. I roughly have an idea of who this product would be valuable to, which kind of consumers would actually pay for this product and become paying clients for this product. And then I start reaching out to them, right? So the reach outs can happen over email, the reach outs can happen over LinkedIn, the reach out can happen through any, channel of communication. And just to give you a real life example, haven't you guys received calls from, customers, or calls from, clients, maybe selling cards to you or selling an insurance to you? While that may not be a SaaS software, but that is something that falls into outbound, because people are actually calling you trying to sell you something, right? Are you guys with me? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So basically, that is what is outbound. And if I now take the SaaS framework, then what outbound means is, I know a certain set of companies would be ready to take my software and pay subscription. That is a certain amount of money month over month. And I will start reaching out to them, right? So I will write emails, right? And those emails could be for, not maybe introductory emails where you introduce the product, but once you've introduced, you can also do follow-up emails, right, where you talk more about the product depending upon whether the client has given a response or not. And if the client has given a response, what kind of response the client has given. The other reach out in outbound could be LinkedIn, right? Because LinkedIn is the largest professional network in the world, right? So, reaching out through one-on-one messages on LinkedIn, or even, reaching out to LinkedIn groups, etc. That's the other, way to basically crack outbound. One thing you should actually know very well is outbound works well when you exactly know the kind of customer who would take your product, when you know the nature of the customer, when you know the demographic profile of the customer, when you exactly can describe the traits of those customers who can take your product, right? For example, what kind of company is this that I'm reaching out to? What is the size of the company? What vertical does this company belong to? At what stage of evolution is the company, right? The more detailed, your understanding of the company, the more effective outbound would be, because you're narrowing down on a certain cohort of companies that you feel will take your product. And sharper the cohort, the more effective your outbound campaigns would be, right? Uh, and in this reach out, as I said, you can either reach out once or you can reach out multiple times. And the moment you start sending multiple emails or start sending multiple LinkedIn messages or start doing multiple calls, that is known as a sequence, right? And there are tools that help you construct that sequence. But for now, just understand that what outbound means is I am reaching out to a customer I feel who can take my product. Does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Right? And the way you do it is, you can either do it through emails, LinkedIn, reach outs, and phone. You can also do it through events. So you're reaching out in an offline manner in industry events or conferences. You can reach out through online events. Ever since the onset of COVID, online events have really taken over through webinars, etc. Right? And there are multiple, levels here. You can actually do a webinar, you can actually do an offline event, you can collect a bunch of leads, and then depending upon the interest that these leads have shown during the event, you can put them into different buckets and start reaching out to companies which have shown more interest as compared to others. Any questions on outbound?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Cool. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's go to inbound. Actually, outbound was I know some customer, and in all probability the customer doesn't know me and I am reaching out. So in many ways outbound is push, because I'm pushing the content or pushing that information to a potential customer. Inbound, on the other hand, is pull, right? So what inbound means is I do something that creates interest amongst people and they show interest to my product and they come to my website and register, right? So a basic example of inbound is running ads. I'm sure all of you have seen ads online. Many of you, or in fact, all of you must have clicked on those ads, right? And gone to the products portfolio page. Then you have actually become an inbound lead, for that company. You must have seen ads on Facebook, on Instagram, on various other channels, right? That whole process of running ads and getting customers is one way of cracking inbound. Inbound can also be cracked by, developing amazing content, because today you can type anything on Google and you get links, right? That's all content that is being developed by companies to capture your attention. And you will see some call to action in most of these links. And once you click that call to action and go to that website, that is when inbound starts working for that website. Inbound can also happen when I say content. Content can be textual content, can be audio content, content can be on video. Textual content means blogs, articles, newsletters, etc. Audio content is your podcasts, right? Video content is any kind of video content that you see on Instagram, that you see on YouTube, that you see on any other channel, right? Now, once you have curated content, what happens is that is the first point of contact, of your potential customer with you. Now, when the guy comes to your website, then you need to really have a very good landing page. You need to have a really good, attractive page with relevant information about your product, so that the interest of the potential customer increases and he further goes down the funnel, right? Some
Yes, sir.
things that help you is, optimizing your website with the right keywords, because most people will search for your, content, and the website should actually, kind of come high there, right? SEO, which is search engine optimization, helps you do that. And there's something called search engine marketing. Search engine optimization is when you rank organically high on any search result, right? You're not paying money. You're just building kick-ass content. Search engine marketing, on the other hand, is when you type something on Google and you might see the first 2-3 links are actually ads, right? There companies are actually paying money to be featured on the top for any search result. Both of them fall into inbound, right? As Nikhil rightly said, Google Ads is a very good example of inbound. The other way of cracking inbound is listing yourself in a marketplace or directory. There are many communities, there are many online channels where people basically are, hanging out, people that you want to target, and you list yourself there, right? That's where basically, and that's another way to generate traffic, relevant traffic to your website. Any questions on inbound?
I have one more input, Srinivasan. I think social media marketing is also being taken
Yes,
care of.
yes, absolutely. Social media marketing on channels like Instagram, as I mentioned, on Facebook, etc. That's another great way of, kind of describing inbound.
Correct. And that depends on where your customers are hanging out, right? For example, if you are selling to the real estate industry, those people are more traditional people. They hang out in Facebook groups, not even Insta, right? Whereas if you're selling to a more SaaS kind of a firm, they will be on LinkedIn very active. So you will optimize your efforts based on where your customers are hanging out.
So that is why defining the traits of your customer is very important. You should exactly know who your customer is. The more depth of information you have about your customer, the better you will actually do, not just in outbound but also in inbound.
Correct.
Can you give some example of marketplace?
Sure. So there is a CRM called Salesforce, right? So Salesforce, basically customer relationship management or CRM platforms are your system of record. They house all your data on, contacts, accounts, your opportunities and deals, who has reached out when, what is happening with your customer accounts. So everything around customers is tracked there. Now there are many tools which integrate on top of Salesforce and provide you particular services, right? For example, in GoodMeetings, we kind of record your Zoom meetings, we analyze them, and we give insights based on how your sales rep performed or how your customer behaved. we push this data into a CRM like Salesforce, right? Which means that my product integrates, Good Meetings integrates with Salesforce. Now, Salesforce has their own app store, their own marketplace, right? You would have also noticed this in things like Google Suite, or you have Chrome extensions, for example, right? So all these Chrome extensions are sitting on Google's workspaces, app store or marketplace, right? Zoom is another example. They have a bunch of apps that you can use for. We also have our product listed on Zoom marketplace. So which means that users can just go to that marketplace, click on this. This integrates with Zoom. Now, what we are solving for is that the distribution channel, right? The CRMs like Salesforce or companies like Zoom already have like millions of users, right? So for me to reach out to millions of users, this is one channel where if someone who's already using this product seems interested in some service that I'm offering, they will purchase my product as well. So that is the thing. Does it give you an example? I mean, does it clear the notion?
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Cool. Let's move ahead.
Manish, the classic example is you are on a Zoom call right now. At the bottom, you would see along with the controls, the mute, stop video, chat, etc. There is something called apps on the extreme right. Are you able to see that?
Right. Yeah, I can see the whiteboard apps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So click that apps and you would see that there are basically, a bunch of services that comes up on your right as a panel.
Okay.
Right now, those are all companies that are building on top of Zoom and using Zoom's distribution, right, to basically reach out to more users, get more users. So that's a classic example of a marketplace sitting in right there. You get it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Product-led growth, which basically, kind of works on the philosophy of self-serve, or basically saying that, hey, you know what? I really don't want people to be selling my product. My product should sell itself, right? I will give you a different example in a different sphere of activity to explain product-led growth. How many of you all here have used this app called Splitwise? Have any one of you used this app called Splitwise?
Which one, sir? Which one?
Splitwise.
So please, can you place it in the chat box, please?
I will put it here, right? Yeah. There's an app called Splitwise. I don't know if you use it. Karthik Singhi says he's used it. Mohammad Siraj says he's used it, right? Now, Splitwise is a classic example because Splitwise as a tool cannot be used by a single person. You have to have a group of people coming in and using it, because what it essentially does is, if there's a certain amount of money that needs to be divided amongst people, you use Splitwise to keep track of, the amount of money and how it is spent, etc. And then finally divide whatever money was spent among the different people, right? Now, if let's say Mohammad Siraj wants to use Splitwise, he alone cannot use it. He would be inviting other people onto the platform, right? And it's a group activity at the end of the day. The moment it becomes a group activity, Mohammed invites, let's say, Karthik and Nikhil. Then both Karthik and Nikhil also get sucked into Splitwise and they also become users. And therefore, no sales guy has reached out to a Karthik or a Nikhil. Mohammad Siraj, who's an existing user, for him to use the product successfully, he is getting more users onto the platform. So that's a classic example of product-led growth. More and more companies are actually, kind of getting into this model where they are getting their existing users to actually get more users to the platform, right? That whole, cycle of an existing user doing something on the platform, creating engagement, that basically goes out. That engagement results in more users coming to the platform. These users are doing something more. They are creating more engagement. That is actually, getting more users to the platform. Thus creates a virtuous loop where more engagement leads to more awareness, which leads to more users getting to know about your product, and which gets more people to basically get registered on your platform. That whole virtuous cycle that you see on the left is known as product-led growth. Slack is also a classic example because Slack is a, a platform which is used for, group communication in professional setting. Now, because it is group communication, you don't do it alone. You do it as a team. So one person comes in and that guy then invites other members of the team. So all the team members basically become potential users and therefore clients of the product. Is this making sense to you guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, go ahead. I think you guys had some comments or questions. Manoj?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any questions, any thoughts, any comments on product-led growth?
No, sir. That's fine for me, sir.
Others? Great. Ajay?
Yep.
Why don't you talk about the key metrics to be tracked?
Yeah, and I'll just quickly skim through, right? Like, see, I just wanted to give you a perspective that based on the kind of go-to-market or GTM motion that you have, model that you have, outbound, inbound, PNL, you will be tracking different metrics, right? For example, if I have to generate MQLs or marketing qualified leads in outbound, the way that I will do it is I will get SDRs to go and send emails or LinkedIn requests, right? So how will I know that the SDR is doing their job correctly? So I will have to first look at the input. The input is that, are they putting in the effort? How many customers are we reaching out, right? Then you have things like conversion kind of metrics, right? Which say that, okay, out of that reach outs, how many demos did we give? How many people responded with a yes? How many people agreed to a demo? How many people attended a demo, right? You are tracking different things. Then from there, you may look at, okay, how many of those demos resulted in trials or, resulted in paid customers, right? And out of that customers, how many of them are they paying recurring revenue month on month? So you can see that, there are a bunch of metrics which we need to track. And one of the key purposes of tools is to actually, SaaS tools for sales tech is to measure these kind of metrics, right? For example, if I have to know the number of reach outs I have done, there should be some means, some tool to tell me that, okay, Ajay has reached out to so many people last week, right? So that is where the tools and all come in, right? I'll move ahead to the next section, which is the tech stack. Now, I understand that we are already at the top of the hour, but how much time do we have with the team here? Can you guys spend another 10 minutes or something?
Yeah. No
Yes, sir,
problem.
we can.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Because we can keep going on, but we want to be respectful of your time as well. So, and let me know at any point where you feel that you have other commitments or this thing is going, too much into detail. Okay. So next we are going to talk about the sales tech stack, which is the topic of interest for us, right? So what I'm going to give you today is more, how can you start thinking about SaaS tools, right? I'm not going to go into detail of each one, right? But rather I want to help you understand from first principles what kind of tools that you may need, right? And I'll give you some examples of tools as well in those things, right? Let's take the journey of a startup, like a SaaS startup, right? You have an entrepreneur who builds with a basic core team a minimum viable product, right? Maybe raises funding, right? And then they kind of find what is called a product market fit, where they get confirmation that they are selling the right product in a good large market, right? So, which also means that they are, from a GTM perspective, they have figured out pricing, that what can they charge their customers. In the initial days, you are having to figure out every sale, you're going to figure out that how much are the customers are willing to pay, right? So maybe once you get some 10 or 1,000 customers, then you will have a clear idea based on, the deal size, what is the pricing that we can charge, right? That is what I call the startup phase, right? The number of customers that you're acquiring here can be 10, it can be 1,000, depending on your product's the annual contract value, right? ACV. The next stage, and typically what will happen is that you will raise a round of funding here, like we have done somewhere here, we are somewhere here, right? As good meetings. The next phase is where you are establishing that, okay, you have a product. Now you know how to sell in 1 or 2 channels. For example, I know that I have demonstrated that I can sell, say, maybe the revenue is around $1 million here per year, annual recurring revenue. And now it becomes 5 or 10 million, right? Wherein you are saying that I have built up a go-to-market team fully. I know that if I'm doing outbound, I need this kind of people doing this kind of process. Then I also have a fair idea now that if I do this process, these are the kind of conversions I will get. If I reach out to 100 customers, I will convert 5, right? Then you have the next phase, which is the scale up, right? Once you have demonstrated that you have a working go-to-market model, like my outbound is working or inbound is working, next is about doubling down. So you pour more money, you get more resources, like more sales reps, maybe if you're doing outbound, right? Or, more blog marketing investments if you're doing inbound related, right? Depending on the kind of model, you basically double down on the model and you scale up. And here, you will typically raise a series B around here, right? Which is the third round of funding. You will typically be at around 10 million to 25 million in annual recurring revenue. And from there, the aim is that can you grow to become $100 million per year company, which is profitable also, right? So you are having the right process, and you are having in the initial stages, you don't worry too much about profitability, right? But here, more and more, it becomes, can your cost of sales justify the revenue that is being generated, right? So with that, then what happens is that once you hit this, then you keep growing, and at some stage you maybe you get acquired, or you publicly list in the stock market, like IPO as they say, right? So that's the journey of a startup. Now the kind of tools that you need will be determined by where you are in this journey, right? And that is something that someone had asked in the Q&A as well, right? In Menti, right? Now I'll cover at every stage, what are the kind of broadly, how will you think about tools, right? And I'll give you some good links as well in the end. Okay. I also see that Karthik has a question. Can edtech company products become or adapt to product-led growth? Yes, there are in fact instances. For example, there are firms like Udemy, for example. Udemy, you go into a thing, you are able to subscribe to a course on your own, right? That's inbound. And from that, what happens is that they give you some credits as well, right? And with that, you can get more courses. So basically, the product itself does the sales and marketing there. So there are edtech companies which do PLG as well. But primarily, what we find in India is it's a heavily outbound-led thing. For example, typically the likes of, say, Byju's or others will have a large sales force which keeps calling people up, right, and selling them the courses. Because here in India, typically your labor cost is cheaper, and you have a very large market, right, in terms of young people who want to take these courses. So that is why there is an outbound-led focus in India, right?
I'll just add to that, given that I have a tech experience. There are two ways to look at this. One is that a edtech product which is a group activity? If that happens, then product-led growth is stitched into the entire GTM motion, right? So that's one way to look at it. So if there is any kind of company that is into group studies or into delivering courses as a group, right, there you will have product-led growth inherently built into the offering. The second way to look at this, even if that is not there, at its core level, what is product-led growth? It is basically a user getting another user onto the platform. So user referral is also one way of product-led growth, right? Because the user is doing something in the product and getting another users. So even in the likes of Byju's and Upgrad, you can see some shades of product-led growth. But as Ajay mentioned, by and large, in India, it's a heavily sales-led motion. Another good example of product-led growth is Coursera. a lot of courses in Coursera are group activities, and Coursera has really grown, organically by users talking about those courses and telling more people about those courses.
Absolutely. Super. Great. So let's get started, right? Now we are at the startup phase of the, of the firm. We are having maybe 10 customers if you are selling to large customers, or maybe around up to 1,000 customers if you're selling a very small priced product like Slack. So here, what do you need, right, to begin with? Now here, at any stage, you can divide your tools into these 4 categories, right? First is there is a server, right? Like, for example, all of us use Google Suite. Most of us use Google Suite. You can also use Microsoft's Outlook and Microsoft OneDrive and all that, right? As your office suite. You need a suite where you can send emails, you can store your files like Google Drive and all that. So that is a basic requirement. And this will be across organizations. Not like typically sales team will have one thing and product team will have another. You will have a common thing, right? So that is the first investment that you will make, a Google Suite, right? The next thing is that, do you need a CRM at this stage, right? What is CRM? CRM is basically a customer relationship management platform. It is your one single source of truth for all the customer related activities that are happening. You want to log everything, right? That is how we will find out what is happening. So what all are you interested as a GTM organization? You are interested in contacts. Who are the people you are meeting? You are interested in accounts. Which are the companies that you are meeting, right? Then you are interested in, among these, which are the opportunities or deals that we are pursuing, right? For the deals that we are pursuing, where are they in that pipeline? Like I showed you, right? Awareness, education, selection, all sorts of things. So we need to know for each customer, where are they in the journey, right? So that as a leader or a manager, you can then take actions. Like you can ask your rep, hey, can we, can you progress? Why can't you move this deal further? What help do you need, right? Why don't you do this? That is how coaching and all happens, right? So to get a view of all this, you need a CRM, right? CRM also provides you with a Salesforce automation, which means that there are tasks which kind of get automated. For example, there is a common thing that I do is that we use HubSpot as a CRM. So when I send emails, right, to customers, there are many times I use templates, like similar kind of mails that like after my first meeting, I may send a mail which is similar in content, whether I'm selling to, to Karthik or to Mohammed Siraj, right? So it'll be something like, hi, Karthik, it was nice meeting you. I'm attaching some material. This is what we discussed. So now that can be made into templates, right? And those templates are there in my CRM, and I can quickly use them in, sending emails, right? I can even personalize those templates. Like it will pick up based on the email. It will know that I should say hi Karthik and not hi Srini, right? So these kind of automations are there, right? It also automates things like, for example, if someone is viewing my email, I get notified that, okay, someone has opened my email. So as a sales guy, I'm looking for signs where the customer is showing more and more interest, right? So if someone has opened the mail or clicked a link on the mail and I get notified, then I know that that customer is relatively warmer or a hotter lead, right? So those are the things that CRMs typically give you, right? I hope this answers broadly what CRM is. There is a question there. The typical brands of CRM that you see are HubSpot and Salesforce. Salesforce is the largest software SaaS firm in the world. There is HubSpot. There is Pipedrive. In India, you have Zoho. You have Freshworks, Freshsales rather. So these are all CRM solutions, right? And there are a dozen CRM solutions. So there are 1,000 plus CRM solutions out there in the market, right? So at this stage, at the startup stage, I don't think you need necessarily you need to invest in a CRM as yet, right? You can even do with spreadsheets, right? In our initial days, we were using spreadsheets as well, right? Where you just note down whom you are meeting and, where are they in the stage, right? So this is what is called the platform side of things. Platform means that there are other applications which sit on top of it and get data from it, push or pull data from that platform, right? The core foundational platform for GTM is your CRM, customer relationship management, which at this stage we don't need necessarily, but we need some applications. For example, if you are doing outbound, right, you need to know what the emails of the people that you're going to reach out to, right? For example, that means that I need to be able to search for example, I am selling to SaaS firms in the US who have more than 1,000 employees, right? And I am reaching out to, say, the VP of sales of these companies. So if that is my ICP or ideal customer profile, I need to know which are the companies which fall under that criteria, right? Who are the key decision makers there? What is their email or LinkedIn address so that I can, or phone number, so that I can do an outbound. So for that, you know, things like Zoom Info help you, right? Zoom Info is a tool to help you to get customer sales intelligence, basically email addresses, contact details of customers, right? Potential prospects, right? Another source of leads is LinkedIn, where you can send a connection request, you can message, you can have conversations, and you can convert, right? So you do need LinkedIn as well. Now, Drift is a tool which basically helps you to get more out of your inbound. Like it's a chatbot essentially on your web page, where if someone comes, it starts chatting and it gets them to try to book a meeting with you, right? So that's again something which these are automations, right? Otherwise, imagine someone has to be there always on the website and replying to chats as and when companies are coming. So this is an automation again, right? Similarly, Mixmax again gives you some, perspectives on, reach outs and all, outbound sequencing and all that. Like Srini mentioned that nobody responds to you. If you reach out, you would have yourselves got, hundreds of, tens of at least cold emails every day. Do you go and respond to everything? No. So you need to keep reaching out to them again and again and with follow-ups. Hey, I'm bumping this up. You must have missed this email, things like that. You would have got such emails also. So Mixmax helps you with this, right? Again, these are all examples of tools which can help you with this. Not necessarily I'm saying that this is the only way a tech stack should be arranged, right? Similarly, so till now we have talked about getting the customers, getting the prospect details, and then ensuring that they reach out to you and book a meeting. And when they book a meeting, you need to meet them somewhere, right? Virtually in these days. So things like Zoom, Google Meet, MS Teams, Good Meetings also, we have a proprietary video conferencing solution built for sales. So these are things which help you to, have customer conversations. So once you convert these customer conversations, right, and you close deals, when you get a commitment, the sign of a commitment is a contract, right? That is where the likes of DocuSign, HelloSign, EcoSign, PandaDoc, EverSign, all these are all contract solutions wherein they give you digital signatures. So you can send a contract digitally, your client can sign digitally with just a click of a button. So there is no more paperwork involved in mailing them taking a printout, signing, sending it back. All these things are going to take a lot of time, right? So this is legally, it stands in the law of courts of law, and then you can use it to raise invoices. And for raising invoices, you can use tools like Xero, which will help you to generate those invoices and start the collections, right? So this basically gives you a basic set of tools and applications. This is the application layer, right? Now for an application layer, these are the key things that you need from that awareness stage to that getting them to convert, because here the aim is to get some initial customers going, right? So that is the first stage here. What do companies need to look out for? At this stage, they should not invest too much in upfront payment to any of these tools. As far as possible, go for monthly or quarterly payments. Look at contract terms, right? In many cases, you can just do with the free version. Like LinkedIn, there is a paid version also, premium version. You can probably in the initial days do with just the free version, right? And some other common mistake that people do, that they don't invest in tools which can help in automation or criticality in the initial days. For example, you may think that why do I need a HelloSign, which is a contracting thing? I don't even have so many customers, right? But the moment your 10 customers become 20, right, then you are going to be struggling. And this basically, again, creates from day one the right levels of, compliance data also. Like you have all the invoices, all the contracts in one place. So these kind of things help you, even though it may seem like an extra cost, it is good to invest in the initial days, right? So this is the startup phase, right? As we move to the next stage, grow up, how does things change? Before that, any questions thus far? I hope this is the kind of thinking that you wanted to kind of get from this session also, right? So the next phase we're talking about is the grow up phase. The grow up phase, like I mentioned, here the aim is to prove that you have a go-to-market motion like outbound or inbound, something which is working, right? So now you're talking about hundreds, thousands of 2,000, 5,000 customers if you're selling a small product. We're talking about hundreds of customers if you're selling large enterprise level deals, right? At this stage, now typically firms have around 20 to 30 tools around sales, around not only sales marketing, GTM basically, right? And this is now the time that you will start implementing a CRM, right? Like HubSpot or Pipedrive or Salesforce. Similarly, you will also implement another key foundational platform, which is called the marketing automation system. So HubSpot and Pardot are examples. So what this does is that it helps you to reach out to send cold email blasts, nurture your leads, right? For example, if someone comes to your website and downloads an ebook, you can enroll them directly into a sequence, which will tell them that, which will send them an automated mail saying, hi, Karthik, thanks for downloading this ebook. Would you be interested in knowing more? Can I book a meeting? Right? So it will keep following up with Karthik, right? That is one example. Another example could be that you are having a newsletter and you want to reach out to all your customers, right? Just for awareness sake. So then you can funnel all those through your marketing automation systems. These are things, imagine if these tools were not there, you would have to manually take the contacts and send them every time some newsletter has to go, or if you have to get a view of who are all the people who came and clicked on your download on your ebook, you have to manually go and send them emails, right? So that is what this is basically helping you with marketing automation system. Along with CRM, this is again a very critical foundational platform, right? So someone was asking about, how to align or use these tools effectively in day-to-day life, right? As a sales guy or a marketing person, you will spend a lot of your daytime, work time in dealing with CRM and marketing automation systems, because you will use them to quickly reach out to customers at scale, which otherwise, if you start doing, you will not be able to reach to so many people, right? Similarly, you have other, customer success management related platforms as well. But typically at this stage, also, you may not make full investments into such platforms, but maybe you will have some product tracking tools like Amplitude, right? For product-led growths, wherein you are tracking how the user is, behaving within a product, right? Then you will know that what you need to do to make them to move from a freemium to a paid plan, right? So these are the foundational capabilities that you need now, right? You can see that there are more applications being added here, right? You are going to see that from LinkedIn now we are saying, let's go and deploy LinkedIn Sales Navigator, right? Which means why? Because now you are moving from a free to a paid plan, which has much more targeted lead targeting capabilities, right? Similarly, you are also going to now add outsourced services, right? Which means that you can take the help of lead generation agencies who will give you SDRs on hire, sales development reps on hire, right? We will also probably have accountants or other outsourced finance teams, which can help you with generating invoices or following up for payments and so on, right? And at this stage, you will be faced with the prospect of having to evaluate tools, which tool to go to. Should I use Zoom or should I use MS Teams, right? Those kind of decisions start becoming important, right? The way you typically deal with them or make those decisions is you look at the effectiveness of the tool. Does it help me to say, get a more mails sent, right? Or efficiency, like does it save you time, right? Or does it give better experience for the customer, right? Or for your sales team or marketing team or customer success teams. So these are all the criteria you use to basically develop. So as I mentioned, now you have added CRM, You have moved to premium versions of many of these things. You have also added some tools here, and you have started using outsourced services, right? Now, here the one key thing is that because you have a lot of choices, people may tend to go overboard in getting a lot of tools. So companies should kind of look at that. And also because when you are deploying any tool, you need to, there are some technical integrations which need to happen, deployments, technical deployments. There is a user training which needs to happen, right? So all these things take up the organization's bandwidth, right? So you should not be in a rush to just deploy tool after tool, right? So that is one thing. And you also should ensure that all these things are integrating with your key platforms. Like your LinkedIn should be linked to your CRM, right? Your Zoom info should be linked to your CRM and your marketing automation systems and so on. So that then they can start pulling and pushing data and enriching this customer database that you have, right? And your ability to reach those customers at scale, right? Lastly, when we scale up, right? Now we are seeing that you have an entire, you are typically moving to an industry level CRM and customer database like Salesforce. Startups typically start with HubSpot and then move to Salesforce because they are very robust. And then you do invest in industry level, industry grade marketing automation systems. Again, Pardot for outbound, HubSpot for inbound, Marketo for outbound typically, right? So these are the kind of tools which will help you to reach customers at scale. Remember, now the aim of the scale up phase is to, you already have a proven model. Now you are doubling down, you're pouring in money, you raised funding, you have to show profitability, right? So you need to develop, you need to install industry grade tools here. Zendesk, for example, is a tool that customer success teams use to track what are the customer success activities that are happening for customers, right? Which are the customers which are at risk of churning away, right? Or attrition risk, right? So those are the things that Zendesk solves for. So these are your foundational platform, your CRM, your marketing automation system, and your customer success management platform, which is Zendesk here, right? And you also, will start to add newer, like for example, newer applications like a cloud-based phone system, because you no longer can call all your customers from your own phone, right? You need to have proper systems for that, right? Similarly, you will get more insights from your customer CRM data and all that, right? So for that, for example, am I going to meet my revenue targets forecast? Is my team going to meet my revenue forecast? Means I will look at all the CRM data. I will run some analytics through Insight Squared and get that insight, right? So things become more geared towards measuring these key metrics at scale, right? And you will more and more, you will outsource services, not only lead gen, which we already did, but we also will have other tools, like for example, tools like GoodMeetings, which can help you to take some burden off whom to coach and what to coach your team, right? So those are the kind of tools and services that you will outsource here. You may employ sales consultants, for example, right, to come and give you training and so on. So those are all, again, outsourced services. So all this essentially, again, the pitfalls here is that we are looking at this stage anywhere between 30 to 50 tools used just by the GTM team, right? So, and at this stage, the typical, if you have so many tools to manage, the question would be that who is managing this? So typically that person who's managing this is called revenue operations or sales operations, right? So if you don't hire a sales op guy to do this, then you are basically screwed, because there are just too many tools here that you need someone dedicated to, to kind of ensure that things are, people are getting onboarded, deployments are happening smooth, people are getting trained, they are using and so on, right? And a lot of time and training and budget is spent on all these tools. So it's, again, you should not have an overload of tools, and you should have some strict application approval processes also. For example, if you buy something which doesn't integrate with your CRM, then you have spent the money for a junk tool, right? So these are the decisions that you need to take at this stage, right? I'll take a pause here, right? I hope that this gives a perspective of how these, as you move up from startup to a grow up to a scale up phase, how you are increasing the complexity of your tech stack. And this is just the bare minimum that you typically need, right? I will end with a couple of examples of real life firms tech stack. I'm not going to go into the details, but I just wanted to give you an example of what are the kind of tools that companies are typical SaaS firms are using, right? So at one end you have CRM like Salesforce, you have Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle. These are all Sugar CRM, SAP. All these are all standard CRMs. Typically, Salesforce and all these are used in later stages. Then you have for prospecting, which is for your awareness and education purpose, right? Here you have things like I mentioned, LinkedIn. You have tools which rank leads, like how close are they to your ideal customer profile. Tools which enrich leads by filling details, right? So these are, again, my intention is not to overwhelm you with the fact that there are so many tools, right? But I want to give you a perspective that how these things stack up, right? At the bare minimum, you need a CRM, you need a marketing automation, right? You need some, DocuSign, e-signature. These are the things that I showed you. But there are so many other things which help you to, perform better, right? So, again, I just wanted to show you that there are these kind of tools. You can read up about all these later, right? And this is not even everything. Yesterday, like when I was researching for this, I found this thing, right? Today's tech stack is this complex, guys. There are tools for each and every small thing that you want to do, right? I'm not going to go into details of this at all. That is not the intention. But I just want to leave you with the flavor that there are so many SaaS tools out here which GTM teams are using. Not every firm will use everything. They don't need everything, right? But you can see that for anything across the funnel, right, from your awareness to expansion, right, you have tools which help you, right? So my key takeaways from the tools is that just understand the basic things that you need. CRM, marketing automation, right? There is your key applications, and then you know that there are some outsourced services. And based on your particular needs and your particular stage, then you go and evaluate. Suppose you're having a problem with one particular thing, process here in your firm. Then you may think about a tool which helps there, right? For example, if I'm having email virtual assistants, right? If I need some things like that, if that is the thing I want, then I will look at these tools. If I have a problem that I am not getting good quality data of my customers, then I need to figure out my contact data. Like if I'm getting only wrong emails, then I'm actually sending a lot of spam, right? So then I will need to say, okay, then I need correct emails. So I need to look at these kind of tools. So based on the problem that you have and the stage of your firm, right, you will make investments as leaders into some of these tools. Okay, so I'll take a pause here. I know I've thrown a lot at you. The intention is, again, not to overwhelm you that you need to know all these tools, right? All you need to know is that for every damn thing, there is a tool available, right? Just that you should not go overboard and get all these things. You just need to pick and choose what is relevant for your firm's context, problems, and the stage at which you're there, right? This is the last thing slide that we have, and Srini and I are happy to take any other questions. There is a question which came up that can I generate reports or dashboards to get sales pipeline, funnel leads and all? Yes, your CRM itself allows you to do that. Plus, you have things like Clary here, which is basically helping you to forecast from your CRM and get even more insights on your funnel and leads and so on, right? So to answer your question, that all these tools typically come with some reporting or dashboarding capability, which can help you to measure, right? So I hope that it is all this also tells you how you can operate easily, how it can help you to automate your sales, and how it helps affect the sales conversions, right? So because if you don't use these tools, you are having to manually do a lot of things. And when when you're having customers at scale, you will end up dropping the ball. You will end up missing things that you need to do. And therefore, you will lose deals. Therefore, these tools help you to take a better stock of what is happening and also perform better in customer interactions, right? So that, I think with that, we have covered all the questions that have come up in the Menti, right? This is the last slide that we have. I know that we have overran the show by half an hour. So thanks so much for everyone for patiently listening in, right? but I'll just touch upon few things that we felt that as key takeaways or GAN, as you can call it, for young people in the world of SaaS, right? Firstly, I think that this is a wonderful world. You can read a lot of stuff. There are, you should actively follow podcasts or blogs like SaaSter or Winning by Design. There are communities like Sales Hackers. These are all good places to be in because you are meeting like-minded people or people in similar roles, right? You will also understand the macroeconomic situation. Like, for example, we are in a situation today in 2023 where there is a downturn, economic downturn, right? In the US, which is the largest market for SaaS, right? And SaaS spendings have come down, right, by firms. So which means that this is a tough year that we're looking at. So for you to know all that, you need to be active in these kind of communities, right? The other kind of communities is, you need to invest yourself in podcasts, blogs, and all that. You should also follow these Slack or LinkedIn groups and influencers. For example, in Outbound, there is this person called Beck Holland who produces good content. She used to lead the sales development at Outreach and Gong and Chorus rather. And these are people who can give you very good best practices, leading practices, right? That you can use to upskill your own this thing. And here you should pick up things which are related to your domain. For example, if you're an SDR, follow Beck Holland. If you are an AE, follow someone else, right? So on. And for your particular function, like if you are an SDR, you should know the key tools that become experts in that. You should know how to use Zoom Info, or if you're an AE, you should know, if you're a sales guy, you should know how to use HubSpot or some CRM, right? Pick that foundational tool which is relevant to your function, right? And go deep there. Right? And you should also understand how this tool fits into your sales processes, right? In the initial years, you may be overwhelmed by the tools, but you should always step back and understand what is happening before and after, during and after this tool is used. What is that workflow which is getting automated by this tool, right? Or is this like a CRM where I'm storing records? Or is this like Slack where I'm collaborating with people, right? How does this fit my process? How does it help move the customer from awareness to education to selection to finally to expansion? So think about this, understand, you should have a mental map for your own firm, right? When you guys work, that what are the tools that you guys are using like this, right? Then now that you know tools and you understand the process, then you become invaluable. For example, when you're getting hired, when we are also, by the way, hiring SDRs, in fact, Juno is helping us. So when we look at people, we want people who have some experience in some tools like this and who understand a sales process, right? Because then it becomes easy for them to hit the ground running, right? So invest in all this. And this is important, improve your overall tech quotient. If you are selling in SaaS, you are a part of the software and tech world, right? So you can't be, living in a rock and not knowing about what is happening, right? So you should be conversant with what is happening in cloud, video, mega trends like AI, blockchain, right? AI, some of you may have heard of Chat GPT, right? So the revolutionary thing, technology, if you're not heard of it, do check it out. So things like this, you need to be aware of, right? And lastly, it's more a softer point and a more reflection of our own younger days for Srini and me, is that in the initial years, right, you are putting in a lot of grunt work. So sometimes it seems like this work is not glamorous or sexy. It may seem transactional, but you need to put in that time. You need to have the humility that someone is trusting you with no skills or limited skills with something, right? So someone is actually paying you money. They are investing their time in training you. So absorb all that with a lot of humility. Go through that. You will be surprised on how that foundational grunt work or transactional work that you put in will translate into what all doors it will open in the future. You just need to put in those 5-10 years initially to get there, right? So this is a bit of Gyan just to round up the session. I know that again, we have 35 minutes above the close time. So thanks so much for staying back. Any questions or thoughts before we end the session? And any parting comments from you as well, Srini?
Just one question. What are your suite of products from your organization?
We're talking about our tech stack, right?
Correct, yeah.
Sure. So we use platform, we use Google Calendar. We use, the backend. We use Google Suite as well. So we have CRM as HubSpot. Our marketing automation system is HubSpot. We do not use any customer success management as of now tool. Applications wise, some key applications are Zoom Info, Apollo.ai, IO. Right, these are for finding contact details, emails, for reaching out. We are largely an outbound led motion as of now, right? So that is important for us. We use tools which help you to chat with people on websites. We use some free tools there called Talk, which is like your chatbot. Then we have we use our own video conferencing platform plus platforms like Zoom and Google Meet to meet customers, right? We also use to outsource some of our lead gen activities, right? We use tools for like Outplay or Outreach for and HubSpot sales sequencing, right? For creating those sequence of emails and touch points for outbound campaigns. So these are the kind of tools that we use. We use for contracting, we use EverSign, right? So yeah, so these are broadly the tools, and we have outsourced some of the content creation for our blogs as well, right? Because we may not get the volumes by ourselves. We're a small team. So that basically is where we are at. And you will find that broadly it resonates with the second slide I showed you on the grow up phase, what firms are typically investing in. Right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. That's fine. But I just want to also understand what is actually good meetings.
Okay. What is good meeting?
I think I had spoken about it in the beginning of the session. I'll just give you a summary because I don't want to repeat it beyond the point. Good Meetings is an online video platform, Manish, that helps sales guys sell 10x better on video. So we are a video-based sales platform. We are building all the toolkits, all the tool sets that are necessary for a sales guys to sell much better on video. Think of us like Zoom, but purpose built for sales. Also, one point I would like to add here, in addition to what Ajay said is, this session might sound slightly overwhelming, but the idea was to give you a gamut of, all the tools that are used and to give you a flavor of everything. The whole thing at this stage of your career is be absorbent, be humble, right? And put in the best amount of hard work that you can, and your career will really fly. I always believe that, only people who work hard get lucky, right? So if you put in the right amount of effort, luck will smile at you. If you don't put in effort and you still get some results, then that is lottery, and you can't base your life on lottery, right? You have to base your life on luck, and luck comes to those people who work really hard. So I would only leave you with that thought. Work hard, work with the right set of people. And the tool sets that we showed you is the entire gamut of tool sets. You might actually end up using only a small bit of it, and that's perfectly fine. Okay, guys. Any parting thoughts, Palak and team?
I think, Ajay, it was a wonderful session. I personally have a lot of takeaways from the session. Very, very insightful. And I'm sure all of us here who are right now also in the session are taking back a lot with them. If there are no questions, maybe we can wrap this up. We've already exceeded the time, and I'm sure you will have other engagements too.
Sure. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time, Srini and Ajay. Lovely having you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Same
everyone.
here.
Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.
Bye.
Thank you, Srini and Ajay. Good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you for all the learnings.
Okay, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone, for joining in on a Saturday.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, sir. There is one question from me.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I'm just hold it on till.
Is this
completing
Palak or
the-
Manoj? Who is this?
This is Mangesh, sir.
Mangesh. Okay. Hi.
Hi. So actually, I'm coming from the pharmaceutical industry, and we are selling the all the machinery which is required for the making the vaccine channel.
Okay.
Okay. So right now I'm in the vendor-based company. So we are making the project and we are selling them to the Serum Institute, to the Cipla, to the Aurobindo and all kind of the sterile industry. And right now I'm not in a sales. Actually, this question is maybe not coming towards this session, but still I'm asking you just to taking the good advice from you both. So right now I'm in production department, and in next few months I will visit towards sales department.
Right.
So is it helpful if I have the so many emails, means mail IDs of the key persons of any organization? It would be helpful for our sales career.
Yeah, of course. If your role involves reaching out to customers, right? See, when you talk about reaching out to customers, if you are an enterprise field sales rep, right? Typically, you are reaching out based on your network. You may have 20 years of experience. You know everyone in the industry, so you are selling to them again and again, right? That is one extreme. The other extreme is where we don't know any of our customers. Customers don't know us, right? That is the reality of what we are all selling to, right? So you need to be able to reach out to the right people and convince them with the right messaging, and persistently follow up until they get back, right? So this is just to get to a meeting, and not even going beyond that, where you have to give a demo or whatever, right? But to get there, some tools which can help your cause is that you can look at Lucia. I'm just typing it here, right? Apollo.io, right? These are alternatives, cheaper alternatives to Zoom Info, right? So this can help you to give customer data and all, right? Like emails and so on. It will allow you to filter by various parameters, get some names and so on. LinkedIn Sales Navigator also does a good job, right, of this.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Means it would be helpful. Just we need to take in the follow from them while you are putting some mails to that particular key person.
Correct. So then you're talking now you're talking to the next stage, right? First is to find the email. The next step is to create sequences, right? Sequence of like on day 1, I will send a mail. Day 3, I will follow up with an automated mail, right? Day 4, I will give them a cold call. So you need to have a sequence laid out, right? And imagine that you're doing this for across 30, 50 contacts, right? Your mind will go crazy. You don't know what to do for what customer, right? So this tool will take care of all of that, these kind of tools, right? So some tools in those kind of sales sequencing are just pinging in the chat, are things like HubSpot has one sales sequence. There is Outreach, there is Outplay, and there is Upscale. Upscale is a cheap one as well, right? And I know the CEO as well. So these are all tools which will help you with sales sequencing, right? So now we talked about getting the customers, email ID, reaching out to them successfully, right? Then once you get them onto a meeting, right, then platforms like GoodMeetings are all come to play, right? So for example, we have a note taker which joins into all of your Zoom meetings or Google Meet meetings. It records, it transcribes, it generates an automated summary. It gives you what the action items are, what questions were asked, right? So it gives you analytics on how people behaved, right? Did you speak a lot and listen less? Did you ask the right level of questions? Was the customer attentive, right? All sorts of things you will get based on the meeting performance, right? What happened in the meeting. So that's a great intel for you to have, to know if this customer, if this deal is at a risk, right? Or is this a hot prospect? Is it really a worthwhile opportunity to spend time on? It will also help you to coach, self-learn or coach your team as well, right? This is again one aspect of another set of tools there.
Thank you.
Perfect. Someone asked about sources for SaaS, reading about SaaS. So I think SaaSter is a great place, right? Apart from that, YouTube has so much of content. So just watch any YouTube videos of SaaSter, and you'll have a wealth of information, right? And particularly, don't get bogged down by all these different categories of tools and so on. See, when push comes down to shove, you will be using only a limited number of tools. or you will be evaluating few limited number of tools. So at that point in time, you go and study deeper on those tools, right? So
Correct.
that is what I will recommend. But just be aware of things like CRM, these kind of platforms and basic applications. Right.
Okay. Correct.
Cool. Any other questions, thoughts? I hope
Okay.
that I just wanted some feedback. Was this session too heavy for you guys? Was it overwhelming? Because I did pack in a lot of heavy content, right? But was it too heavy for you guys, or was it at the right level? It gives you a broad picture.
Hi sir, maybe for the beginners it is too heavy,
Right.
but yeah, for the rest of people I could say it was a perfect sir.
Sure. Good. As long as it's not too basic, then we are good.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
All right.
And sir, I thought it's a combination of all, we can say.
Good. No, good luck with. So all of you, are you students with Juno, or how does it work?
Yes, sir. We are the students of the Juno.
Students.
Okay. And how long is your program?
It seems
2 months.
more than, I think sir, it's more than 2 months. But we are connected with Himadri sir for a lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
Very nice. Very nice. So I think there is a lot of revolution happening in terms of edtech firms like Juno and all over offering these kind of e-learning solutions, right? Like, and things like this were not there, say 10, 15 years back or 20 years back when I was joining, right? So it's very, the entire thing has become very democratized. So I wish that all of you take the maximum advantage of all this, right? And happy hunting. Sales is a great career to have in, right? You will learn a lot. You will also earn a lot, right? If things go well. So, so happy hunting, guys, and wish you a successful 2023.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you so
great
much, sir.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.